All right, man, peace. So I caught this very interesting segment on this show, The Jump, pertaining to an event that occurred last NBA season where LeBron James decided that he was going to wear one white sneaker and one black sneaker while playing against the Washington Wizards in Washington, D.C. Of course, the purpose for him doing so, allegedly, was in protest of Donald Trump, aka Mein Fuhrer, or at least as the super liberal element of the so-called black community would have you think Donald Trump is akin to Adolf Hitler, or Donald Trump is the originator of chattel slavery. It is what it is. I don't really like to go back and forth with too many emotionally disturbed so-called pro-blacks, because at the end of the day, just about every president in the history of the United States has had a racial bent, and no one seems to have triggered a lot of the liberal or super liberal aspect of the so-called black community as Donald Trump has. It just goes to show you how easy it is for so-called black people to be manipulated in the media, not only by the media itself, but also by those who choose to use the media for their own ends, one of them being Mr. LeBron James. And as I've told many of you brothers for the longest time, many of the stunts that LeBron James likes to pull in regards to being so-called socially active are at the inspiration of his corporate sponsor, that being Nike. That is why in the aftermath of Donald Trump finally responding to many of LeBron James's jibes, when Donald Trump stated that I'm a Mike guy or I like Mike, Michael Jordan responded back with I side with LJ. Why is that? Because Michael Jordan is a Nike asset as well. All of this is corporate. None of this is truly based on quote unquote race. And it's all a part of brand building. LeBron James is into brand building. And fortunately for him, Nike understands that it's very feasible for both parties to build up LeBron James as being this socially active person. I'm not saying that there is no legitimacy or there is no sincerity to LeBron James wanting to be active in his so-called community, but a lot of this is based in corporate branding and image building. Nike understands that in this environment that we're currently living in, they can build up LeBron as this combination of Michael Jordan and Muhammad Ali. It would allow him to gain more favor with the masses of people in America, while also, for both LeBron and Nike's sake, augmenting the sales of his sneakers. That is why, once again, Nike has the equality campaign, because they're using many of these corporate pawns that happen to be athletes to help promote a lot of the Marxist philosophies of these overseas bankers. That's truly what Nike is doing, as well as hoping to socially engineer society by using their assets to do so. This segment here also will allow me to touch on a sentiment that I've touched on in the past, that being the notion that so-called black people here in America do not have a culture. When I say that, I don't mean it literally. I mean that our people have no knowledge of their actual culture. So what happens is the media creates a culture for our people. So anyway, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
We're joined by senior sneakerhead analyst, sneakerhead in chief, Nick DiPaolo. What's up, bro?
How's it going?
You good, man? All right, we got a lot to get to. There's a lot of sneaker stories that are heating up over the internet in the last couple of days. Let's start with LeBron James and Nike made a big statement on December 17, 2017, when he took to the court wearing the mismatched equality Nike LeBron 15 sneakers. It was recently announced that James donated his game-worn pair to the Smithsonian National Museum of...
This dude looks like a complete damn fool out there on the basketball court with one white sneaker and one black sneaker. But once again, he does whatever his masters at Nike tell him to do. Okay? And Nike is shrewd enough to understand that they can get him to do whatever they want as long as he has something to gain by doing what they want him to do. What LeBron has to gain is that he gets to play the Muhammad Ali imaginary game, where supposedly he's bucking the system, he's coming against everyone, when in all reality, we all know that the media, for the most part, is on LeBron James' side, and the masses of people are on LeBron James' side. There is no pushback like there was in Muhammad Ali's day. Because what does LeBron James truly stand for? Does he stand for so-called black empowerment? No. What he stands for is quote-unquote equality, i.e. globalism, i.e. opposites coming together. That's why he has one white shoe and one black shoe. He's not on the basketball court saying black people have to rise up, we have to do for our own, we have to do for ourselves. He's not saying that, even if that may be what he believes off camera. On camera, he has to push and promote everyone coming together. That's why, what is the main sentiment of his statements against Donald Trump? He's trying to divide us through sports. You can't divide something that's already divided.
Museum of African American History and Culture, where they will be displayed in the Museum Sports Gallery this fall. Nick.
Now, Amin El Hassan stated that the African American Museum of History and Culture, which is directly associated with the Smithsonian Institute, has decided to take LeBron James' sneakers and show them off at their museum. So what are they really telling you? They're telling you that that museum, like all museums for the most part, is pushing narrative. Because what do LeBron James' sneakers have to do with any form of culture? Other than trying to inform the so-called black community that when other races think about you, they think about your infatuation with sneakers. They think about your infatuation with hip-hop. They think about your infatuation with entertainment. And they also think about the correlation in their minds between so-called black people and slavery, which is really all that museum is about. If you ever look it up on the internet, all that museum goes on and on about is the so-called black man and black woman in slavery. Because once again, the true goal of what we learn today that's called history, but is actually historical narrative, is to create this unassailable correlation in the minds of the so-called black man and woman of slave equals black. And I've stated this in other videos. In reality, the word slave comes from the word Slav, which was a term that was used for Caucasians in Southeastern Europe, and is still used for them to this very day. The Caucasians of Southeastern Europe and Eastern Europe, all the way into Western Asia, from what's known today as the Caucasus Mountains, that term was applied to them of Slav or slave because they were servants to the Byzantine Empire, as well as the Angevin Empire of Hungary and many of the other associated kingdoms of Southeastern Europe that were ruled over by blacks, by the way. But that's a whole other video for another day.
So to see more NBA players using sneakers to promote social issues.
Definitely. I think LeBron's a guy that loves to tell stories through shoes, as most guys do.
Well, he has to tell stories through shoes because LeBron does not have the knowledge to instruct people on what actually occurred in history. That's why it's so easy to emotionally trigger him.
But he's also looking to have a stance on things, and so
it's great to have a stance on things. It's even better to have knowledge on things. You only really have a stance on something when you know what you're speaking about. Just because you have a mouth does not mean that you deserve to speak. Because if you have a mouth and you're just speaking with no knowledge, you're going to cause confusion.
That game was in D.C. by no mistake, of course. And they actually did an auction for 200 pairs that raised $400,000 for the museum, too.
Wow.
That's wonderful. You can make 200 pairs of sneakers that probably cost in total $500 to make 200 pairs of sneakers, auction them off for $400,000, and you get free publicity not only for the quote-unquote African American Museum of History, but you also get free publicity for LeBron James and the Nike sneakers that he's wearing. So it's a no-lose event. It's a no-lose gesture.
So it's not just, I'm wearing a shoe, watch me wear it. Like, they're trying to put some money into it as well and have it make an impact. We've seen Steph Curry in D.C. as well wear a shoe that had a My Brother's Keeper logo on it, and that raised...
Yeah, Steph Curry wore a quote-unquote My Brother's Keeper logo on it. Once again, brothers, being woke is the new in thing, particularly since Muhammad Ali passed away in 2016. Many of these athletes got activated by their corporate sponsors, and they said, you know what? We can make some money off this. Ali passed away. He's become a great global figure, a global icon. We can build the next global icon, and we can associate the rhetoric that we ask him to spew with social change. And in the process of doing that, hopefully we can elevate their sneaker sales, because it all goes back to monetary sales. That's all it's about.
Raised over $100,000 as well. So it's been great to see. It's been a great week with LeBron opening the school and all the stuff going on, and guys are really trying to make an impact.
Awesome stuff. And Nick recently...
But anyway, that's basically it on that topic. I just wanted to make a video about this subject because I saw it, and this person here, the sneakerhead Caucasian man, second from the left, he was able to expound on certain reasons as to why LeBron James decided to wear the one black sneaker and one white sneaker in the first place. So peace.